Our group is going to talk about the communication accommodation theory, which was developed by Howard Giles, who was a professor of communication in the University of California, Santa Barbara. He was also co-editor of the Journal of Language and Social Psychology and the Journal of Asian Pacific Communication. Communication accommodation theory concerns on the behavioral change that people make to attune their communication to their partner, and also the extent to which people perceive their partners as appropriately attuning to them. There are both convergency and divergency within this theory. Convergency means strategies through which individuals adapt to each other's communicative behavior in order to reduce the social differences. Divergency means the extent in which individuals emphasize the speech and nonverbal difference between themselves and their partner. There are four aspects we're going to talk about in our presentation, which are very important to know because they affect the course and outcome of intercultural conversations. The first one is social historical context, which means the ways that past interaction between groups. The communicators belongs to influence the communicative behaviors, such as their political ideas or ideological views. The second one is accommodative orientation. There are three factors. The first one is interpersonal factors, which means the personality of the speakers. The second one is intergroup factors, which is the communicator's feelings towards outgroups. The last one is initial orientations. It's perceived potential for a conflict, which may influence by culture or historical factors. Next one is immediate situation, which refers to the moment when the actual communication takes place. It is shaped by five interrelated aspects. The first one is socio-psychological state. The second one is goals and addressing focus, such as motivations and goals for the encounter. The third one is sociolinguistic strategies, for example, like convergency and divergency, as we mentioned before. The fourth one is the behavior, and the last one is the labeling and attributions. The fourth aspect is the evaluation and future intentions. It describes how communicators perceive their conversational partner's behavior, and also how will it affect the future encounters between the two groups.
In this first scene, McConaughey establishes a sort of in-group and out-group, or obvious differences between the two men at the table and the waiter. He is respectful, but it still makes it obvious that he can do and say what he wants, sounding a little arrogant while doing so.
Can I bring for you on this glorious afternoon?
Well, Hector, here's the game plan. You're gonna bring us two absolute martinis. You know how I like them, straight up. And then precisely 7.5 minutes after that, you're gonna bring us two more. Then two more after that, every 5 minutes until one of us passes the fuck out.
Excellent strategy, sir.
I'm good with water for now, though. Thank you.
It's his first day on Wall Street. Give him time. Thank you.
Thank you.
In this next scene from Wolf of Wall Street, Leonardo DiCaprio is trying to learn from Matthew McConaughey's character while trying not to sound naive. He's asking questions and speaking very respectfully towards his new boss, exemplifying convergence. Meanwhile, McConaughey is casually explaining to DiCaprio the cold truth behind making money and showing that he knows more than him by using divergence. At the same time, DiCaprio's admiration for his boss is clearly seen through his nonverbal behaviors, such as his leaning in, making eye contact, and smiling and overall attentiveness.
Right, but if you can make a client's money at the same time, it's advantageous to everyone, correct?
No. Number one rule of Wall Street. Nobody, I don't care if you're Warren Buffett or if you're Jimmy Buffett, nobody knows if the stock is gonna go up, down, sideways, or in fucking circles. Least of all stockbrokers. Right? It's all a fugazi. You know what a fugazi is?
Fugazi, it's fake.
Yeah, fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, it's a fairy dust. It doesn't exist. It's never landed. It is no matter. It's not on the elemental chart. It's not fucking real.
Right.
All right? Right. Stay with me. We don't create shit. We don't build anything.
Next, I will show you the first and last parts of the scene. In these two clips, it is clear that DiCaprio has been influenced by McConaughey when he joins in the chest thumping. This likely means that his future interactions with others and this specific person will be influenced by this conversation. Also, this can be seen as a metaphor showing that DiCaprio is now part of the in-group.
Come on. With a common denominator.
In this first clip from Office Space, Peter, the employee, is taking extra care to converge to his boss while hiding his frustration and being chastised for a mistake. Meanwhile, his boss is not listening to anything Peter says and seems to be enjoying himself. The boss's verbal divergence makes the power difference clear, as does his nonverbal behavior, such as standing above him and looking away while Peter talks, showing a blatant sign of disrespect.
Problem here? Yeah, you apparently didn't put one of the new cover sheets on your TPS reports.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. I forgot.
Yeah. You see, we're putting the cover sheets on all TPS reports now before they go out. Did you see the memo about this?
Yeah. Yeah, I have the memo right here. I just forgot. But it's not shipping out till tomorrow, so there's no problem.
Yeah. If you could just go ahead and make sure you do that from now on, that would be great. And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
Yeah, no,
Bye-bye,
I have
Peter.
the memo. I've got it. It's right.
Hello, Phil. What's happening? I came by here yesterday.
In this next clip, Peter's behavior has changed and he has more confidence while talking to his supervisors. This is a more unorthodox case, as Peter is now the one diverging and putting himself above his superiors. His superiors are then automatically intrigued and led by Peter's confidence, listening intently on every word he says, which is clearly shown through nonverbal cues similar to DiCaprio's in the first example. As well as this, the two supervisors are eagerly trying to understand Peter's behavior while also metaphorically looking up to him, making it likely that future interactions with these characters will be positive.
It's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
Don't care?
It's a problem of motivation, all right? Now, if I work my ass off and Initech ships a few extra units, I don't see another dime. So where's the motivation? And here's something else, Bob. I have 8 different bosses right now.
Beg your pardon?
8 bosses.
8?
8, Bob. So that means that when I make a mistake, I have 8 different people coming by to tell me about it. That's my only real motivation, is not to be hassled. That and the fear of losing my job. But you know, Bob, that'll only make someone work just hard enough not to get fired.
Would you bear with me for just a second, please?
Okay.
For our next example, we will be discussing clips from the popular movie Mean Girls. To give the socio-historical context of the groups in the film, Mean Girls takes place in a high school setting. There are 2 groups we will be discussing today. The first being the out group, consisting of 2 students considered to be unpopular and 1 new student at the school. The second group is considered the popular or in group, consisting of, as the title suggests, 3 mean girls. In this first clip, the out group is discussing possible ways to disrupt the in group and decide to send in the new girl at school to act like the in group in order to gather information. The socio-historical factors that influence these communicators is their difference in social status as popular and unpopular students, along with their ideological differences as people that prevent them from becoming friends. The groups each character belongs to influences their communication behavior and attitudes towards each other. Let's explore this with the first clip.
This isn't about hating her, okay? I just think that it would be like a fun little experiment if you were to hang out with them and then tell us everything that they say.
At this first stop point, we are given insight to the accommodative orientation dynamic of the 2 groups. We learn the interpersonal factors of the communicator pictured. We can tell immediately that this character acts in accordance with divergence. Via her behavior and tactics, she accentuates her difference verbally by freely speaking her mind regardless of the impact on her social standing, and non-verbally through her stylistic choices in order to accentuate her difference between herself and the in-group. Secondly, we are made aware of the intergroup factors, or in other words, this communicator's negative feelings towards the mean girls. Additionally, we know that the initial orientations or perceived potential for conflict are due to the ongoing dislike of the in-group by the out-group.
What do we even talk about? Hair products!
Ashton Kutcher.
Is that a band? Would you just do it, please? Okay, fine. Do you have anything pink?
At this second stop point, we can see that the two out-group characters are suggesting that the new girl should act in a convergent manner and adopt the verbal and nonverbal habits of the in-group in order to reduce their social differences. Through their evaluation and future intentions, they develop a sociolinguistic strategy to assist the new girl in communicating with the in-group about topics that they would find interesting, listing things like hair products and Ashton Kutcher as talking points, all for their goals and addressee focus, infiltrating the in-group. Now on to the second and final example from Mean Girls, where we will observe an interaction between the new girl and her teacher regarding the deliberate failing of her test in order to get a boy to like her.
Katie, I know that having a boyfriend may seem like the most important thing in the world right now, but you don't have to dumb yourself down to get guys to like you.
At this first stop point, we learned that the new girl uses the strategy of purposely failing a test to reduce the social differences between her and a boy she likes. This is a clear example of convergence.
How do you know?
I know. How would I know, right? I'm divorced. I'm broke from getting divorced. The only guy that ever calls my house is Randy from Chase Visa.
Here we can see that the teacher, in order to appeal to the student on a personal level in this immediate situation, uses a colloquial and honest sociolinguistic strategy. By doing so, she can easier reach her goal and addressee focus of helping the new girl reach her potential by communicating on a convergence level and reducing their social differences.
And now, I'm gonna push you, because I know you're smarter than this.
Thanks, Miss Norbury. And if there's anything I can do for extra credit, please let me know.
Oh, I will.
I hate her! I mean, she's totally failing me on purpose.
If the socio-historical factors that influence communicators depends on their status at the school, for the teacher, this is her authority and position as a member of faculty, whereby she is presumably afforded politeness and respect from her students. In the immediate situation, the new girl, regardless of her feeling of disdain for her teacher, socially accommodates her response due to these intergroup factors. She replies politely to her teacher's face, but then, when in a group of her discerning peers, turns around and shares her angry thoughts freely. Due to her social evaluation and future intentions, it would have a large negative effect on future encounters between her and her teacher if she had not acted as respectfully as she had.
Now that you've seen the theory in action, it's a good time for a review. As you know, communication accommodation theory explains the verbal and nonverbal adjustments that people make in regard to the person they're communicating with. This can be illustrated through convergence and divergence, where social differences are either diminished or emphasized between speakers. Different aspects guide these accommodations made in a conversation, and these aspects can be applied to your own life. Firstly, remember to be aware of the social historical context by being accepting and understanding of differences. Try to think about how members of different groups might perceive your words differently. As for accommodative orientation, know that past interactions will influence future interactions, and you can use relational communication to maintain or change your relationship. In the immediate situation, change your behaviors to highlight or ignore differences. It's important to consider the other person's feelings, motivations, and possible biases before reacting to their messages. For evaluation and future intentions, remember to keep an open mind and know that your current actions have an effect on your future relationship with this person. Overall, we hope to give you a better understanding of your interactions and to help you be more conscious of the verbal messages that you're sending. Start to observe how you act around people who you feel similar to and those you feel different from. By noticing your own tendencies, you can actively choose to converge or diverge, depending on your goals in a conversation. This theory provides one of the many lenses through which you can interpret conversations and use your knowledge to communicate more effectively in your daily interactions. Thank you.